various locations via the miracle of Skype. It's the 40th anniversary season of the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-7901. And now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
Hello, welcome to the program. If you bet on the Packers, you won, so be happy. Nice to have you. Todd Bailing in Phoenix, Arizona. My three partners spread out across the state of Wisconsin. Dan Margetta, Brian Schmidt, and PJ Noodleman all standing by with us. This off season seems to get shorter. We talk about things other than racing, and I'll be damned, but we're 2 weeks from the Busch. No, they don't call it the Busch. The Clash at the Coliseum. First, let's say hi to Brian Schmidt. Hi, Brian.
Morning. Don't bring up the Packers, please.
Then you didn't bet on them.
No, I didn't bet on them, but it's still irritating.
Of course, but they overachieved. Don't worry about it. PJ Noodleman out in Trempealeau, Wisconsin. Hi.
Hi there. I'm not a Packer fan, so I'm not crying in anything this morning.
She's a Vikings fan, just so you all know.
And speaking of non-Packer fans, I happen to know Dan Margetta does like the Packers, but of course he puts on his irritating hat that says San Francisco, and he's in everybody's face about it. So you're going to pretend you're real happy about this, I'm sure.
That was a good game. It really was.
It was.
Oh, that was a politically correct answer.
Politically correct up here on that. I liked them, the 49ers years ago when Joe Montana played the West Coast office. They passed more than they ran. I thought it was cool. Everybody copied it. Then when he started playing the Packers, I like the 49ers. I kind of played that role, and Packers fans seem to enjoy it. When I started rooting for the team, they said, hey, we liked it better when we could have had somebody to hate. I've been thrown in the snow. I jumped in a lake on New Year's Day one time because of a Packer 49er game I lost. So I lost my share. So, but
there's some 8-year-old kid with a can of spray paint over at the Slinger Speedway Wall of Fame. If you're not careful, Dan, because if they did it for Craig Council Park, they'll do it for you. Either way, we're happy you joined us in the great off season, which, like I mentioned, is going away in a hurry. It's 2 weeks to the Clash at the Coliseum, and a couple things have changed this year. One is that they actually are going to open the track. Brian, it turned out to be a real cluster, didn't it? They were going to charge people to come in on Saturday, and they noticed that the place was going to be empty, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, this turned into a real cluster. And it's kind of – the whole schedule is a little different than what they've done the last 2 years because they're bringing in the NASCAR Mexican Series. So the Mexican Series is running a 100-lap feature on Sunday. That's going to kind of take the time slot of where the heat races were, so they switched the heat races over to Saturday. And for some reason, some genius decided – well, nobody's going to show up for this, so why should we even open it up? Well, real race fans kind of dug into this a little bit and realized if you add qualifying and heat races and the heat races for the Mexican Series and all those laps up, 60% of the laps on that track are going to be run on Saturday versus Sunday. And they're like, well, we're paying a ticket. We want to come in there and see it. And NASCAR was pretty adamant about not opening the place up on Saturday until about midweek. All of a sudden they come along and said, well, now we're just going to open it up and let everybody in there for free. Not sure that's such a good idea either in downtown Los Angeles. So I don't really know what the thinking is behind all this, but your average short track fan is going to want to see everything. And if you're coming from out of town to watch this event, you're going to want to see Saturday as well. You're going to want to see the heat races and the qualifying and all that. So at least now you're going to be allowed to do that. However, the free thing, I'm not so sure that's a great idea.
I agree with you on that, Brian. And another thought as to why they might not have wanted to open it up was probably to try to save money, because if they open it up, they have to hire a bunch of union people to work it.
Yes.
And there's a much higher rate for that. But now that they're doing it for free, I don't know if that's negated having to do – I don't know. It's hard to say what the loopholes were.
The whole point in this Los Angeles thing is to attract new fans. And, that's kind of a noble thing to do. I mean, we're expanding our sport a little bit, and we're opening to we've got a Mexican driver, a black driver. We're trying to expand ourselves, so we'll let in the local population there so they can buy $15 beers.
Well, and the other thing is, when they did decide to open it up for free, it might have been a PR move, because there is quite a large Hispanic population in the LA area. And if they could get all kinds of press out of it for being free after they weren't going to have it open, that might actually bring droves of people to come in to watch the Mexican series and to watch their favorite drivers.
There you go. And it's all...
Needless to say, I would be willing to bet a lot of money that this is the last time we'll be doing this, because it was really cool the first year. Last year was meh.
The luster was gone.
Yeah, and now this year it's become a fiasco. I mean, they don't even have a lot of tickets sold for this, from what I understand. They're going around town trying to get people to show up. So I don't know. I don't believe that this is going to probably happen another time. So this will be the last time you get to see the Coliseum paved.
Yeah, look what all goes into it. I mean, that track isn't there. You have to build the track, tear the track down every year. That's a lot of cost. It's a lot of time to put that one event on. And like you said, I think the luster has kind of wore off, because it was a new deal for first year and the second year. Now it's kind of like people are complacent with it. Letting the fans in for free, it's a good move on their part, I think, because who knows? Maybe you'll get some more new fans. I mean, if you're sitting around not having anything to do on a Saturday, you want to do something, let's go check the race out there and let's see what it's about.
Check it out, right. The actual race itself has been a 27-car field. It's going to be 22 plus a provisional, which is really an excuse to add somebody that belongs in it that didn't make it, which I don't foresee unless they crash or something during a heat race. I don't foresee that happening, but it is a 23-car field maximum, and it's coming up. 2 weeks to go. We'll be talking about it in 2 weeks. In the meantime, go ahead.
People were saying, what do you do with it if it doesn't go to the Coliseum? Because it used to be at Daytona and nobody went there. I think you could have it back at Daytona if you made it more part of Speed Weeks. Remember before, it was always like the Sunday right before the 500, part of that week, and then the NFL came and moved the Super Bowl back. So now they people make their plans. They're going to stay there the whole week. They're not going to go 1 week and then come back 2 weeks later. I think if you made it part of Speed Weeks, you can make it work.
A doubleheader with the human sacrifice 200. What's not to like?
Well, that we already have that with the Xfinity race. So I mean, the year before they went to the Coliseum, they did a road race. I believe it was on the Tuesday night of Speed Weeks. The only bad part about running stuff at night during Speed Weeks is you're taking away from the short track stuff there, which has already taken enough blows in Daytona, because you've used to have the 25s during the day, they moved them tonight. You used to have qualifying during the day, you move that tonight. And they just kept taking more away from, which honestly, when we go to the short track, it's really not messing up their attendance at all. It's actually hurting, I think, Daytona more than it is hurting the short tracks. But if they went back there, yeah, they'd have to come up with a way of doing it. Or you do it on the Saturday. With the Super Bowl being on Sunday, you do it the Saturday before the Super Bowl, and then everybody takes off,
Now, I always loved going down there for the Thursday afternoon races. That was just spectacular. And as we remember, it was the biggest weekday crowd assembled in the history of the universe for a sporting event, blah, blah, blah.
Usually a lot warmer during the afternoon, too, than it is at night there.
Yeah, there was a lot you could say about it. But now, we've moved to prime time, folks, and this is what you get. And nothing wrong with that, I guess. We just got to work around it. It's just the way of the future. We're glad you're joining us. We're just thrilled that we're going to have Ted Musgrave on with us after the break here. Ted is still alive and well and working in his hometown now of the Charlotte area in North Carolina, and we're going to get a chance to talk to a guy that used to live in Franklin and raced out of the Milwaukee area for many years. We'll go wake him up on his flip phone right after this.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expert expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at wagnerautomotive.com. EMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
The Milwaukee Admirals will take a 7-game winning streak into its next home game when the Admirals host the Belleville Senators Wednesday. Loose puck in the near corner. Jankowski tapped it behind the net. Afanasiev center. Got to LaRue. He scores! 3-game coverage at 6:30. Face off at 7 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Well, Matt didn't tell us. I hope he got through. We're going to find out real quick. Ted, did you charge up your flip phone for this?
Oh, yeah. You know what was really weird is actually listening to all the Wisconsin advertising for once again. Man, that was different.
You miss it, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, I kind of miss some of it. I tell you what I do miss, a great big pizza from the cellar. I like that place.
Oh, that's pretty good. You lived in the Milwaukee area for, had to be about 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah, somewhere in that vicinity, maybe a little bit more, but, enjoyed my time there, but spent a lot of time more or less up in central Wisconsin, up in Grand Marsh. That's where I actually landed when I left Illinois and, did a lot of racing up in that area, up in the Dells and all that, but when I moved down to Franklin, Wisconsin, it was basically just to do more of the ASA series.
Okay, because you drove for Terry Baker, and he had a shop that was, let's call it compact. It was a gas station bay, and matter of fact, if I remember right, Terry had you fixing gas pumps if you weren't working on the race car.
Your memory's pretty darn good, I'll tell you that, Todd. Yeah, that was it. I actually, worked for him as far as like fixing car washes and stuff like that, on the off season. But, like you say, during race season, actually, racing all the time there, working on the cars with Howie Leto. But you're right, Terry. It was on 76th and Lincoln, I think, is what the address was on that gas station.
You weren't the only one to go through there. There's been a few drivers that have gone through that place. But as many of them did, you ended up going over and driving for Jerry Gunderman for your last couple of years, which seems to be the last stop before being, quote unquote, discovered by somebody down south.
Well, it was kind of a different situation there. Yeah, when I left Terry Baker's, went over to Jerry Gunderman's, I had an opportunity over there to bring in and, run an ARCA race and odds and end things, not actually with Jerry's car, but I actually could use his facility, that little spot there, and some connections to do that. So it was enticing to do that. And that's kind of where I kind of started a little bit, because when I was trying to venture out, and get into the NASCAR world, and you have to start somewhere. So, with Jerry, we did a little more traveling around the country, did a little more racing, so you kind of get exposed a little more. And then, like I say, the opportunity arose where I had a car I actually got from James Finch. He told me I could use it if I finished it up. And I brought it up to his shop, finished it up, but I just didn't have enough funding to go race it. So that's kind of where it kind of stalled out for a while until, like you say, that my big break came when Ray and Diane DeWitt had me drive their car in the Michigan race, and that was my start right there in the NASCAR world.
Was that the 55 car, right?
Yes, yeah, that was the 55 car. That worked out real good. But, like I say, with Jerry Gunderman, I was actually able to come down and race a couple of, they call it Grand National Series back then. I actually used his hauler. We came down and ran Rockingham and Charlotte and, did very well on them, in particular 2 racetracks. And then that was my only time before actually getting to ride with Randa and DeWitt.
All right. Now, from driving DeWitt's car, how exactly did Jack Roush, how did you get Jack's attention?
Back again a little bit to the Gunderman situation was when Mark Martin would come from NASCAR and do a few guest appearances, basically, I guess, in the ASA series, Jerry supplied the car for him. Well, that was the car that was in the shop with me, down there at, I can't remember the address, maybe
29th and Ryan Road, I think.
Maybe that's what it was. I can't quite remember where it was, but, I prepared the car for Mark when he came down and, or came up there and raced a little bit. So when the opportunity came where Jack Roush was looking for a replacement driver for Wally Dallenbeck, Mark knew I worked hard and tried to do the best skid for him, so he was going to try and pay me back by saying, hey, why don't you give Ted a chance at it? So, just connections, that's basically how a lot of things happen.
And you drove for Roush for a few years before, let's see, I'm thinking of that number 16 car sponsored by the Family Channel. I think I have a 124th diecast of that car yet.
Me
no,
too.
I wouldn't doubt that. Yeah, you're right. I mean, actually I drove for Ray and Dan DeWitt for like 3 years before I went over to Roush.
Okay. All right. And so, I mean, I would say you had a wonderful thing, lots you can look back on and be proud of and be happy with. You were the last pole sitter ever. I remember this at North Wilkesboro until they, it looks like they're going to start. Geez, it wouldn't surprise me if they actually had a cup race there in the very near future. But you did race the last cup race at North Wilkesboro. You sat on the pole. How about that? Yeah,
no. Now they had the All-Star race and all that stuff, so that kind of muddied that up a little bit. Yeah, the very last race up there did get the pole and had a little kid named I think his name was Jeff Gordon. He was on the outside pole.
Boy, imagine that. So life as you went on, you did not come back and live in either Gurnee, Illinois, which is, I think, the area you grew up in, correct?
Well, around the Illinois area, there was Niles, there was Gurnee, there was, I raced a lot in the Waukegan area, Illinois, and yeah, I mean, that was the area we were living in basically before I moved up to Wisconsin to race.
And then Wisconsin. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, somebody once told me, Ted, that there was a time where you were basically living out of your truck and trying to continue racing. Is that true?
Well, back to the Terry Baker situation. My house was up in Grand Marsh, Wisconsin, and Terry Baker's operation was in Milwaukee. So I'd be down in Milwaukee all week long working on the car, and sometimes in the weekend racing, depending what we were all doing. Well, I had a Ford Ranchero. And I had a little camper top, I guess you could say, not even a camper top, just a little copper shell on the back of it. And that's where I would live, in the back of that car. I'd go in there and sleep. Oh yeah. Well, actually in the rear bay of the gas station, when everybody was gone, closed up, I'd go back there and take a shower with the hose hanging over the tire or the car rack. I'd raise the car rack up, take the hose, drape it over it, and that's where I'd take a shower in there. Dry off, then I'd climb in the back of my car, go to sleep.
You know who told me that is Steve Holzhausen. Do you remember Steve Holzhausen?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He told me that. Said you were hardcore.
Well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, and like I say, after a while, the biggest thing was it was okay until one day I woke up to get out of the back of the car and go in the gas station, start working, and the snow was on the ground, and I could hardly get the thing open. It was frozen in the gate in the back. I'm like, this is, and I'm freezing. I had no heat, so it's like, I got to do something. So I finally got a little apartment.
Oh my God. You were thrifty. How's that?
Well,
a long way from that to moving down to Charlotte to start driving cup cars. I know you still have your house in Troutman, North Carolina, and for a while there, I think you had a second house right within a couple of miles of the Daytona track, didn't you?
Yeah, that's correct. Actually, I did that too. Moved down here to Troutman, North Carolina. That was my big move from Wisconsin. Bought a house here. And what happened then when I did get the ride from Jack Roush, Mark Martin was living down at the Fly-In down in Florida down there. Well, he told me, he says, you really need to move down this way. You could fly with me to the racetracks. You could do this. You could do that. Well, I kind of looked at it as a situation as a tax write-off. So I bought a house down there and declared myself a Florida resident.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do again, So the state income tax was lowered, this, that, and everything else. So I based myself and told my, driver's license was Florida, everything was Florida, but still had both houses.
All right. I'm sorry I ran a little over. We're talking with Ted Musgrave, formerly of Franklin, lived all over the place, Grand Marsh, but of course, that's a little place in the middle of nowhere. We'll talk more with Ted Musgrave when we come back.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit BonafideSafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
Why would you want to play for Bill Belichick if you're not winning? I mean, it feels like he's going to coach for 2 more years, maybe 3 more years. He's going to surpass Don Shula in the all-time victory list. Probably in 2 years he'll be able to do that. I just want him to coach. But, Brady's
the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings, 8 to 11 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to LTN here on the Big 920. We're talking with Ted Musgrave, whose post-race life has been pretty interesting. I know you've done lots of different things. I saw you on a TV show that you were you restoring RVs or something like that?
Well, that show, actually, we had Ron Hornaday, myself, my boy Justin came along, just a few other ones, and it was called Outcast Customs. Now, this guy named Calvin, he came from a TV show that did most of that. Wanted to start his own little show here in the Mooresville area. So he got a hold of us and asked us if we'd come in and, maybe try to make this TV show work and this and that. So it was more of a custom building things. We took an old bus and made the Krispy Kreme traveling show out of it, went around. Oh, there was all kinds of things, fire trucks, and we did actually for the World Outlaws. I built a hauler for them to haul race cars around, which, the car was exposed on the rear, and it was just a bunch of odds and ends things. But in all, that really, there was some internal problems at that place, let's put it that way, which after the show was over, we made our bills, we all kind of left.
It's funny. The particular episode that I recall, your son Justin was on there, and he was pissed off, and he quit right in the middle of the show.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There was a lot of things going on. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to point fingers at, certain people, but it was something we probably should not have even tried to do, because there was some places that I would go to get parts for the show and this and that, and they'd give me like dirty looks. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Well, you got to pay your bill. I'm like, I don't own this place. I'm just a guest on the show, And so our names were kind of getting to the point where, wait a minute, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes here, but we need to get out of this.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, it's funny because so you have your two sons, Teddy Jr. and Justin, both have been in the racing industry. Of course, Teddy Jr. still races. I know that he has one of those crate dirt late models, and I think he did pretty good with that thing this year, didn't he?
Yeah, actually, he runs around South Carolina, North Carolina. He won the championship down at Cherokee Speedway this year in the 602 crate model series. So he's done really, really good, and he's actually he's very mechanical on far as dirt racing and shock absorbers and stuff like that, and he's doing really well. And then my other son, like I say, has changed off, and now he's in the marine business, fixing boats and stuff here at Lake Norman, which is a huge business around here.
Yeah, Justin, that's his second oldest son. I can tell you, I remember Justin when he was just a little kid, and he was challenging for you and for everybody. He didn't let anything to the imagination. If it was on his mind, he would tell you. And I always loved the kid. I thought he was just an exceptional young man, and he kept in touch with me over the years. He would come and see me. If he raced at Madison one time in a truck, if I remember right.
Yes, for Jerry Wood and they did really good together. They actually ran the little truck series around that Wisconsin series. We sent them up there to get some education on how to do it, and the Woods did really good with them.
Oh, sure, and still run that truck series, as a matter of fact. And then Justin, I saw him at Slinger, but I don't think he was racing, if I remember right. He was probably there with Rusty's kid, who Stephen was quite a short track racer, and at that time Justin was helping him, so he came up and saw me there too, and I got to know. But unfortunately for Justin, he was about 38 years old or thereabouts. He got cancer real bad.
It was a little bit of throat cancer stuff and lip nodes and stuff like that. So what happened there, like I say, he was running his business. He used to work for people around here, different marinas. And what he found out was, if he went on his own, he could make more money, start his own little business, which he did. So he started his business out, it was going good, taking care of things. But then when the throat cancer thing came about, he'd have to do his chemo and his, radiation, all that stuff. And everybody knows what happens then. You're down. You can't do nothing for like 3 months. You're just sick as a dog. So the problem was, at the same time, I was flipping homes. I was buying foreclosures, fixing them up, selling them, making pretty good money, doing well there. Mm-hmm. But I had to stop doing that because I had to take over the business of, getting his boats fixed and this and that, so he wouldn't lose all his customers. So, yeah, that was I got thrown into the fire on that one. But as it turned out real well. He's doing good now. I'm staying there. I'm helping him, and it's got a thriving business going.
Wait a minute. You work for Justin?
Oh, come on now. I mean, I guess you could say that, but, I would never thought that. 20 years ago, you'd say, hey, you're going to work for your kid? I'd be laughing like crazy. But as it turns out, I guess you could say he's my boss in a way, but it takes the two of us to really make this business work, and it's doing very well, and, we're enjoying it together.
Musgrave Marine. And now Justin's little boy, Kevin, is racing. There's another generation of racing Musgraves. Kevin is racing against these kids with these, the micro sprints and all that. The Brexton Bushes of the world is where he's racing, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, we did, that for 2 years now. He's over here running Millbridge, running South Carolina. We're still racing as we speak. We got one coming up next weekend. That he runs what they call the wing sprint cars, the junior wings, and he's getting a little bit too big as far as getting into these cars now. So he's going to finish off maybe another month or so. We're going to sell all that stuff and maybe just get like an IMCA modified for him.
Oh, a dirt kid, huh? Were you a dirt racer at any time?
No. I tried it once. One time many years ago, Tony Izzo had a car he wanted me to drive in Santa Fe. He was just like a backup car, and I did terrible. So I was like, that's enough. It's just not my forte. I know it's not. So I just said, thank you very much. It didn't work, but I appreciate it. I'm never going to do it again.
Your brother Tommy drove the LTN Radio Network sprint car for a while, you know.
Yes, he did.
You do remember that, right?
That's crazy how things just evolve like that. Yeah, he's still out there in Surprise, Arizona, where you are.
Yes, Tom is here. Your mom is here. Your sister Laura is all here. They're all here living in Surprise, Arizona. In fact, I found out recently that you had visited, and I missed it, and it's a damn shame because I would have liked to come over to see you. But we're talking with Ted Musgrave, formerly of the Milwaukee area, and we'll come back with Ted right after these messages.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
This is Two Pros and a Cup of Joe.
We're getting back into it. The Michigan Wolverines are your national champions. And then the conversation becomes, yeah, but the whole sign stealing stuff and the off-field issues.
There's not enough sign stealing in the world to have you only lose 3 games in 3 years, bro.
Two Pros. LeVar Arrington, Brady Quinn, and a Cup of Joe. Jonas Knox.
Weekday mornings 5 to 8 a.m. on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to LTN. Ted Musgrave joins us from his home down in North Carolina. We had a caller ask about, I think you lived, because Debbie, your wife, has always been in the horse business, or she's been a horse person her whole life. For a while there, didn't you live on 76th ways south there where maybe you had horses or something?
Yeah, it was Jerry Gunderman's little farm he bought, and we just kind of more or less took care of it, and because his daughters also like to have little horses, so that's where we lived for a year and a half or so over in that area. Yes.
I knew there was a Christmas involved because when I went over there one time, you had the Christmas tree nailed to the ceiling upside down. And correct me if I'm wrong, was it covered with Miller Lite beer cans?
Boy, would you see pictures of this or something? You've got everything nailed.
There, dude.
Yeah, I did that a long time ago. I said, you know what? There was like rafters, So I said, let's hang the Christmas tree upside down and try. Oh yeah, sometimes I do some weird things.
Well, it made me very festive, I'll tell you that much. Also, we don't want to go too far without mentioning that in your career, while you were down there still racing, you ended up driving a truck. One race in particular, I remember that NASCAR was pretty mad at you. You came off of a turn at Daytona. Darlington and flattened the right side on that thing. Was it Daytona or was it Darlington that you did that?
They were mad at me a lot for a lot of things, but there was two things. Yeah, one was they weren't really mad at me. I flattened the right side of the whole truck out, just passing for the lead at Darlington to win that one. But because they were going to take my truck to the wind tunnel, just to see what it was like. But after seeing that, they couldn't because it was all smashed up. But who cared? Nice. I was in victory lane. But the second one was, down in Daytona Beach. They were trying to slow the trucks down because they were faster than cup cars. So they put this like wicker on the front fenders, the little pieces stuck out of like a full inch. Well, what it was is I was going out to qualify because I was practicing like in the first top two people or whatever. So they tried to slow me down, I believe is what it was. So Wayne Aughton, he took a pair of pliers. He was the official. And as I was sitting in my truck ready to go up just before I went to pull on the racetrack, he pulled my wicker out further and further. So I kind of looked at my crew chief, Gene Need, in the pit area over there. I looked over at him, and he's like waving his arms, and I'm like, don't worry about it, bud. I got it. So as I took off out of the pits, I went right up by the wall, and when I exited, and I hit the right side of the fender just perfectly to bend that wicker all the way back. So my first lap was like 192 miles an hour or something like that. And Gene comes over to the radio and goes, oh, shut her down, don't go anymore. Oh, yeah, It was quite the deal. They had me in an NASCAR trailer for quite a while, but I showed them some facts. I said, you do, because they were going to take it away from me. They're going to say, you're going to be in the back of the pack. We're going to find you. We're going to do this and all kinds of stuff. And I said, wait a minute now. I says, 2 years ago when Jeff Gordon went to qualify at Indianapolis, off turn 4, he got loose, smacked the right rear quarter panel, bent the spoiler back a little bit. He sat on a pole. I said, did you take that away from him? Wayne Aughton and Mike Heldon, everybody was in this meeting. It was big time people. And I said, did you take it away from him? They looked around at each other, looked back at me, and says, get out of here. Don't ever do anything like this again.
I took on the law, and I beat the law. That's pretty good.
Yep, that's about what it was. You can mess with me, I'll mess back.
Are you ever tempted to get back in a race car, Ted?
No, it's that time. When you get out, you just, you're out. You don't just, why go back? I don't. There was people that tarnished their careers, I guess you could say, by trying to keep going and this and that. And I'm like, you know what? Been on top, won the championship, did all the stuff, won all these races. Stuff. When I stopped, boom, that's it. We're done.
That truck championship back, geez, what year was that? 90s, late 90s, wasn't it?
No, it was 2005.
Oh, 5. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Wasn't that long ago.
I mean, and how cool was it, Ted? You win the championship in 2005, and then you got invited to be a part of the IROC, International Race of Champions, in 2006. That had to be a pretty cool experience.
It was. Don't get me wrong. Actually, I'm about 10 feet from my IROC driver's suit. I can see it right here. It was Crown Royal actually sponsored that. It was the neatest thing to be in the IROC series, and it was the last year of the IROC series as we speak. And it was just so neat to be involved in it. Now, like I say, Mark Martin won the championship in the IROC series again because he was in it so many years he understood those cars. I didn't quite understand them cars right off the bat. Yeah, and I had some bad luck. I had some mechanical failures too, but same to the point, it was fun to do.
I'll bet. What a great career it's been, Ted, and it's pretty neat that you're still involved with Teddy Jr. racing and Kevin looking like he's going to be a star someday. It's now we're going to see how much money Grandpa's got to keep him going.
No. That's Justin's problem now.
He's the one that owns Musgrave Marine, not you. Oh,
yeah, there you go.
Well, that's fantastic. Ted, it's really been great catching up with you a little bit. And you've got a lot of folks up here that will ask about you here and there. Donovan even mentioned here on Facebook to say hello to you because, you got a lot of friends and a lot of folks that like to make sure you're doing pretty good. Oh, yeah, I love it up there. I mean, there was great people up there. I had to move down here for the career and all that kind of stuff. But, man, I miss people up in that area. And, I don't know, maybe sometime I can get up there again, like when we have a Wisconsin race or something, and just hang out for a day. Wouldn't that be nice? Come on up for the Slinger Nationals or something. That'd be a
There you go.
Oh, right. You announcing yet?
Oh, yeah, I'm not smart enough. I've cut back my schedule. I only do super late, so 9 times a year.
Yeah, but you were the best because you'd say what was on your mind, and you made a lot of people laugh and a lot of drivers angry, but that was the way it was. It was great.
I'm glad you liked it, Ted. Great catching up with you, my friend. We hope to talk to you again in the future.
Thank you.
Ted Musgrave of Troutman, North Carolina. We'll be back with some results from around the world of racing when we return.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
This, keep it on the down low here,
is the Dan Patrick Show.
Dennis Rodman was brilliant at doing this. Dennis would just be a nuisance. And there was a purpose behind that. And he understood the game. And just like Draymond, very smart player. But Draymond is not smart enough to stop at a certain point where you're just a nuisance. Instead, he can't be controlled enough.
Dan Patrick.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Weekday mornings, 8 to 11 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
And now the LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
Pretty quiet week across dirt racing here as we get ready for Speed Weeks to ramp up in about a week, but there's still a couple events out there. We'll start Thursday in Casa Grande, Arizona at the Central Arizona Raceway. It's the Ernie Mincy Early Thaw. Night number 1, they had super late models there, $2,000 to win. Billy Moyer, the ageless wonder, came down, drove Don Shaw's car, and picked up the feature win. I believe that was his 851st career feature win. In the IMCA mods, it was Chaz Baca, and the stock cars was Trent Granger. They did it again Friday night there, and $2,500 this time on the line, and Billy Moyer did it again, picking up the feature win on night number 2. The IMCA Modifieds, Tom Berry Jr. hopped in Mike Whittlestad's car and picked up the feature win. And in the stock cars, it was Bo Partain. Down in Florida, in Barberville, Florida, the Volusia Speedway Park, the World of Outlaw Case Construction Late Model Series got their season underway. They were supposed to do it on Thursday, but they had some rain there, so that washed out Thursday night's program. So they started it on Friday night. An incredible feature. If you get a chance to check out the highlights of this one, that was probably one of the better ones you're going to see for $12,000 to win. Devin Moran picked up the feature win. He's been really dominant there over the years. And got by Ricky Thornton Jr. Brandon Shepard was in the mix. A bunch of guys just looked like the scrambler at the fair, the way they were passing for the lead at the end there. But Devin Moran picked up the $12,000 on Friday night. Last night, Casa Grande, night number 3 of the Early Thaw. They'll be doing it again next week there as well with those same late models there. $3,000 to win. Tyler Peterson stopped Billy Moyer's streak. Billy did finish second in that race, picking up the win. The modifieds went to Chaz Baca, and Bo Partain picked up the stock car feature win. Night number 2 at Volusia for the Case Construction Late Model Series, $15,000 to win. Hudson O'Neill picked up the win. And they also had 72 604 crate cars there running for $10,000 to win. Matt Henderson picked up his first career win there. Next week, the Lucas Oil Series kicks off their 2024 campaign at Golden Isles. That's, I believe, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then they go to Ocala after that. So their Speed Weeks is going to really pick up here starting next week.
On the asphalt side of things, there was some racing down in Cordele, Georgia at the Watermelon Capital Speedway. Bubba Pollard won the season opener for the CRA Southern Super Series. And Stephen Nasse finished second. Derek Kraus made the trek down there. He finished 13th. They also had a pro late model race. Nasse running his own equipment ended up winning that over Ross Chastain. Only makes sense that the watermelon farmer would be running at the Watermelon Capital Speedway.
Yeah.
And then the Chili Willy, Todd, down by you.
Yeah, Chili Willy is, they say it because it's in the middle of January, but it's really not all that terrible. I will say that rain is moving in. It's supposed to rain real hard this afternoon and all day tomorrow. So the race that was supposed to be, the feature was supposed to be today. They moved it back a day. The 150 lapper, 15,000 to win feature went to Cole Raz. When I looked over the list of super late model guys. Of course, last year, Steve Apel came down here and raced, and he didn't come this year. So there was no real reason to go down there for me. I mean, I would have liked to have seen the racing, but to be honest with you, they had a pretty decent turnout, like 27 cars or something. But, the only people I heard of in the entire race was this Cole Raz dude. Sean Hingarani, the Milwaukee Mauler, the guy that didn't do so well at the Milwaukee race this last year. Talk to the 44 about that. And the Yackee family, those guys, the father-son team from Colorado come down to race, and they have come to Wisconsin to race a little bit. Those are the only names I knew in the whole field. And it turns out Raz wins it. Hingarani was second, and the Yackies were fourth and fifth. So, there was a lot of guys we never heard of in that field. But either way, that finished up yesterday, and $15,000 to win. That even paid more than Cordell, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Cordell was only 10, I believe.
10, yep.
Oh, so interesting. That's for sure. We're glad you're tuned in. We've got some other little notes we'd like you. By the way, we should tell everybody, if you'd want to call for any reason from here till the end of the show, we actually have a little room for you. 414-421-7901. A reminder, this week is the Barrett-Jackson auction. Many people find this to be the Cadillac of television auctions. There are some that have cars that are worth more. There are some that have people that have money in their pockets. However, for the beautiful cars and guys with money to spend to buy them, nothing compares to the Barrett-Jackson auction. It'll be televised this week. Check your local listing. I don't even know where the hell it is in Milwaukee. I think on the, Motor Trend channel or whatever the hell they call it. So some systems have it. Some do not.
One thing around here, though, with locally, looks like some super late model rules got released today or this week, and all the tracks seem to be on the same page. That hasn't happened in forever, is it?
Forever. That's a really great thing. I think it might have kind of spurred out of the whole hullabaloo with the ASA Star Series, that maybe the Wisconsin tracks all decided we should probably get ourselves together and aligned on this. It's going to be good for racing if we do.
We probably will have a better program from top to bottom than ASA does by the time we're done with this. Can you imagine how many years we have talked about, why don't we just get some rules that we can run every car at every track in Wisconsin? Well, what do you know? I think they're all involved except WIR. Is it because they have a club up there, or how does that work?
I'm not exactly sure or not, but I got a feeling that I can't see them being on an island. I mean, I think they're all in the discussion. Right. Yeah. You're going to see what's happening. It's kind of cool, though. You guys can race any track you want, pretty much. You can show up. If you want to run Slinger, come run Slinger. If you want to run the Dells, go run the Dells. Go to Madison.
That's a new tire?
The Hoosier brought the new tires out, the ST short track series tires. They used them at Cordell, and I thought the racing was pretty good. I mean, what did you think, PJ?
I thought the racing was really well, yeah. But if you think about it, that ST1, ST2, they're a lot like the Hoosier 3035 and 3045s that we have. They have a different sidewall on them, a little bit different, but that's kind of what they're comparable to, what we've been running up here as well, too. And then they have the ST3, which is a little bit harder tire, and they'll probably end up using that at Winchester. But I think that I think it's good. It's all a good move. I think people should be happy. There isn't much to complain about, but I'm sure people will find something.
Well, we've waited a long time for this, and it's finally come around long enough to where it's going to be good for everybody, and no matter where you are. So good.
And they were a little worried yesterday using that tire because, for Cordell, Georgia, it was only 35 degrees when they took the green yesterday for that race. So there was a lot of concern how well it was going to work. So the fact that it worked that well in those cold conditions, bodes well for later in the year when you're running under normal summer-like 70-degree conditions.
All right. We're going to take a break and come back for our final segment.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit BonafideSafe.com.
Check this out.
This is The Herd.
You're excited. I'm excited.
With Colin Cowherd.
Yes, at home when the weather is ideal against a bad team, the Dolphins look like Mike Tyson at 23 years old. But did they even compete against Kansas City? Did you watch the play calling in the second half in this game? Mike McDaniel was protecting Tua. They didn't extend his contract. Let's stop the Pro Bowl stuff.
This is The Herd.
Weekdays 3 to 6 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Hey, welcome back. The Hall of Fame induction ceremony was this week. I didn't watch it. It was on Peacock. I don't have Peacock yet. I'm trying to wait until I don't have any choice because there'll be a race that I would miss. So I'm watching. I'm not seeing other things such as the Hall of Fame, but that was this week. And congratulations to Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus. What a 1-2 punch they turned out to be, for NASCAR. And, of course, Chad Knaus growing up in Rockford, Illinois, and racing around these parts. It's been pretty cool. Donnie Allison was joined, too, was named to the Hall of Fame, too, which was a pretty cool thing. In other news tidbits, the Alliance, Front Row Motorsports had their alliance with Roush freaking Keselowski Racing, if you'll remember. Well, they changed to Penske. Is it going to make a difference for Front Row? I guess the question would be, can you think of anything? I don't know if that'll make a big difference.
I don't know. Before, Penske seemed to be a lot bigger than Roush, but Roush is kind of on its way up. So, I mean, other than have the championship at the 12 car, I mean, Penske had kind of an off year, I thought. I mean, overall.
And how about this little tidbit? I did a little research when I saw that Wendy's was signed as a sponsor for Trackhouse Racing. They're going to be on Suarez's car, they're going to be on Chastain's car. And then there was a little tidbit that they're going to sponsor Shane Van Gisbergen when he races in one or two of his Cup deals this year. And I thought to myself, why would Wendy's go on a guy from the other side of the world? So I did a little research, and I'll be damned. Wendy's will be expanding into Australia starting in 2025. But kind of remember, but he's from New Zealand. Now, they're very competitive, and I don't know if they're going to have another store in New Zealand. But, yes, I imagine that everybody on that side of the world follows the racing like they're all in one big happy family out there. So it probably has something to do with Wendy's going to open up some stores on the other side of the world. Amazing, isn't it?
They used to always have the commercial, "Where's the beef?" Right?
Where's
Wendy's?
the beef? That is the one.
That's old school. That's old school.
I know.
Wendy's.
I learned how to say that in Spanish. ¿Dónde está la carne de vaca?
Wow.
The charter agreement, they're working on it still. They're still working on that whole contract thing. There are so many rumors and so many scenarios out there. Percentages getting thrown around and that sort of thing. I'm not sure what to believe, what I read, but I'm going to say it's all still one big negotiation, and some people are possibly whispering to a reporter who's saying one thing, and the other side isn't doing their whispering yet. It's a big mess, but the charter agreement, the way I see it, Dan, don't you think it's going to extend just the way it is?
I would think they send something. I mean, that's a major thing to get done here with the new rights package now done. I mean, bottom line, the teams are going to get more money. I think that their percentage is going to increase just by how much. I think that's what you're going to worry about. We see something that's going to go from 35% to 42%. You know,
I saw another one, 49.
Right.
You know?
So I mean,
wow.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, bottom line, the team's take of this is going to increase. It's just by how much we'll see, and it's kind of important to get it done because that's kind of the whole foundation everything's on.
You know, you look back at the history of NASCAR and I forget who it was that tried to organize they tried to organize the drivers into some sort of I'd hate to use the word union because NASCAR, looked at it like any organization is a union and we're not a union place and don't even think about it and all that. But for the most part, all these years later, we actually have what turns out to be a union type of thing, an organized driver group.
Well,
and
that RTA, right? The Race Team Alliance, is that still
that's
on?
what they call it, right? And it's actually been pretty good for the sport, I think. You know, we've moved on into an area that brings us to the big money, and at that point, you have to start figuring out what it costs to put a car on the racetrack, and they've done pretty good with it so far, I think. So, hey, guys, the 24 Hours of Daytona is next week.
Anybody staying up?
Yes, they got they got 59 cars entered in that thing next week. Lots of those cool prototypes. Dan and I went and saw them a couple times last year, both at Road America and Indy. Going to be a good show. Hopefully the weather cooperates down there, and then they can have a heck of a race. But you'll be able to see it on NBC, the big network, 12:30 next Saturday. And then it flips around between NBC and Peacock and, all those other different networks.
That answers whether Dan has Peacock or not, because he couldn't sit awake all night watching otherwise.
Yeah. We'll see how far we get. Every year you try to do it. I don't know if I've ever made the whole 24 hours. You usually fall asleep somewhere in there. But in the past, you used to only get like 5-minute updates every hour. Remember that? On the Superstation, you set your alarm and get up, watch the 5-minute update, go back to bed, set the alarm for the next couple.
No, you don't. No, I'm sorry.
You're a nut.
Yeah. A good chunk of it will be on the USA Network from right after they leave NBC. They're only on for the first hour until about 7 o'clock, and then again from 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock, it's on USA Network. So you'll get a good chunk of it on the big networks to see the end of it. And then the end of it will be back on NBC as well, starting at 11 o'clock until it ends at about 1 o'clock our time. So you get plenty of time to see it on network
and
TV.
Go to bed at 11 o'clock. You won't miss anything really significant. You can get up again at 5 and put that crap.
Nighttime's one you got to watch. That's when everything happens overnight. And hey, we had one result from Wisconsin this week. We raced on ice on Friday night, and Ty Majeski won over Luke Fenhouse and David Malikas on a tricycle race.
And just goes to show you, those IndyCar drivers can't hang in there with our paved guys from Wisconsin. So that's pretty good stuff. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate the fact that you do this as part of your Sunday morning routine. And as we like to remind folks that listen to this show for 40 years, real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. LTN is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta. Our engineer is Matt Losi. For all of us involved with the program, we appreciate it. Thanks, Aaron, for reminding me that Curtis Turner was the name I couldn't remember who tried to organize NASCAR back in the day. And also thanks to Paul Reichert for your great work. See you next week, everybody.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.